YouTube Nation! How are you doing? I'm Hunger to the Max. A salute to you. Do you like that I combined the old intro with new intro? Write down in the comment section below with your thoughts. So, I just uploaded a video, not even 2 minutes ago I would say, discussing tonight's game between the Sacramento Kings and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and my thoughts on whether or not the Cavaliers actually have a realistic chance at possibly making the playoffs. And in case you didn't see the video, I am saying yes, the Cavaliers will make the playoffs. They won't get into the top 6. They'll get into the 7 to 10 range and win the round robin, and they'll get eliminated in the first round. Either in 6 games or in 5. Depends on whether they play Brooklyn or Philadelphia. But that's not what this video is about. Instead, I want to welcome you to another episode of Talking UFC and Wrestling. So, up until last night, I had not watched a wrestling pay-per-view, let alone a WWE pay-per-view, since WrestleMania 35. Because I just didn't want to pay the extra money for WWE Network. It just wasn't worth it for me. Yes, I'm a WWE fan, but I enjoy watching, I used to enjoy watching Monday Night Raw, but Monday Night Raw just doesn't feel like a good show to me anymore. Like, they use too many surprise roll-ups and distractions and other shenanigans, and doesn't feel like you get a lot of matches. So I'm actually enjoying Friday Night SmackDown more, because on SmackDown, we're actually getting good matches that advance stories, and a lot of the matches have clean finishes, where the superstar who wins gets to use their big move. However, recently, SmackDown has also been doing a fair amount of distraction finishes and surprise roll-ups, so stop it, WWE. Stop it. Don't use the surprise roll-up or distraction finishes for every single one of your matches, because when you have a match that you can actually use it, and it loses its luster, if you will. Anyway, as I said, I haven't watched, up until last night, I haven't watched a WWE pay-per-view since WrestleMania 35. The only pay-per-views I've been watching are UFC pay-per-views, which I will be watching this Saturday's pay-per-view when Cleveland's own Stipe Miocic puts his heavyweight title on the line against the man he defeated at UFC 220 back in, I believe it was 2018, Francis Ngannou. Miocic won that fight by unanimous decision, and with that victory, Stipe set the record for the most consecutive title defenses in UFC heavyweight history with 3. Now, if I remember correctly, Dana White, the commissioner of the UFC, said that whoever wins this fight between Miocic and Ngannou, I should say, will be fighting John Jones next. Ugh, that gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. Anyway, also, for UFC 261, that's going to be a triple title fight. A title fight trifecta. Because first you have Zhang Weili defending her strawweight title against former champion Rose Namajunas. Then you have Valentina Shevchenko defending her flyweight title against former strawweight champion Jessica Andrade. And in the main event, you have Kamaru Usman defending his welterweight title in a rematch against not Colby Covington, but another one of his bitter rivals, Jorge Masvidal. Coincidentally, Masvidal and Usman's first fight was at UFC 251. So it's kind of funny. They fought at UFC 251. Now their rematch is going to be at UFC 261. UFC 261 will be in Jacksonville, Florida, and Dana White has said a full crowd will be in attendance. I'm guessing that the crowd will have masks, but still, that's amazing. Hopefully that means the Octagon will get back to traveling around the country, and hopefully one day the UFC will return to Cleveland. Anyway, getting back to the WWE. So I watched the pay-per-view last night, and it got off to a very interesting start. Mustafa Ali was taking on Matt Riddle, or I guess not Matt Riddle, because the WWE dropped the name Matt, so he just goes by Riddle. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. What, is Drew McIntyre eventually just going to become McIntyre? Is Bobby Lashley just going to become Lashley? I don't know. Anyway, Riddle defeated Mustafa Ali to retain his United States title, which I don't know why Riddle is U.S. title. He's probably just a placeholder until Keith Lee returns from whatever it is that is keeping him away from WWE. Whatever it is, I hope Keith Lee gets better. Unger to the Max sends all his love and wishes to Keith Lee. But you need to get back to the ring quick. I want to see you at WrestleMania. But here's the thing. Riddle defeated Ali by hitting a Bro Derek from the second rope. But that wasn't the important part. The important part was Retribution is pretty much no more. Retribution is no more. Why? Because after the match, even though Retribution didn't do anything, they just stood on the outside. Mustafa Ali was going off on a tangent about them, like, why do you keep failing me? Why? And Reckoning, who we all know is Mia Yim, it's the worst kept secret ever, she walked out, and then Slapjack or Pancake, I don't know his name, he walked out, and then T-Bar and Mace gave Ali a double choke slam. So that doesn't signal the end of Retribution. I don't know what does. So then the pay-per-view opens, and it's the Tag Team Championship match between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And this is all I wanted to do. Ready? Why did we have this match? Why? Great, one of my rubber bands just snapped. Oh well. Why are we having this match? Why are Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair even in the women's tag team title picture? Bianca Belair won the Royal Rumble. She chose to fight Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the Showcase of the Immortals, WrestleMania. So we should be building up that feud, not trying to put them together in a tag team and, let's see if we can put Sasha Banks over as 2 belts Banks. Don't do that. You saw what happened with Asuka. When she was teamed up with Charlotte Flair, I completely forgot that Asuka was the Raw Women's Champion. Yeah. So, I don't want to waste any more time on that. That was a complete failure. So I didn't get to watch all of the pay-per-view last night because it was my sister's boyfriend's birthday, so I had to turn it off at times. So I didn't get to see the whole Shane McMahon, Elias, Braun Strowman stuff. But clearly we're going to get Shane McMahon against Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. And I'm just like, bleh. Now I get it. That you're not meant to like everything WWE does. I get it. Like, I don't like this whole Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss, Fiend stuff. That's just not for me. I don't like it. And it's the same thing here with Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman. I don't like it. It's not doing anything for me. Now, I get the premise, like, Shane is calling Braun stupid, and we're trying to encourage kids not to call each other stupid and all this and that. I get the message, and it's nice, but I just don't like it. I don't. Now, to the match I enjoyed the most. The main event was great, but it was a little too confusing for me. I don't get the storyline. Are we going to put Daniel Bryan in that match, in the Universal title match, just so he can take the pin instead of Edge or Roman? That whole storyline is just confusing for me. So that's why DB against Roman was not my favorite match of the night. My favorite match of the night was Shinsuke Nakamura against Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is my favorite WWE superstar. However, I don't like this heel. I don't like this character of Seth Rollins. I like him as both a heel and as a babyface. You know, when he had his run as the Universal Champion and he was a babyface, it was fantastic. He had great feuds, like with AJ Styles, and his feud with The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, was fantastic. I'm trying to think of when he was in an Intercontinental Championship feud with Dolph Ziggler, that feud was great. His feud with Dean Ambrose was fantastic. Which, quick question, do you think that when Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins retire from WWE, and Jon Moxley retires from AEW, do you think the Shield will go into the WWE Hall of Fame? Write down in the comment section below. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think the Shield, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns will end up in the WWE Hall of Fame? I personally believe they will, but I'm curious your thoughts. So, obviously, we're getting Seth Rollins against Cesaro at WrestleMania. That's inevitable. That's clearly what we're building towards. But this match was still flippin' fantastic. Like, there were a bunch of near falls where you're like, oh, Shinsuke's actually going to win. And I like that WWE did that. They planted the seed like, oh, Shinsuke's going to win. But the whole time you knew Seth was going to win. Because, yeah, it would just diminish the whole storyline, and it would diminish the feud, and it would diminish Seth's character if Shinsuke had beaten him. And at one point in the match, Seth tried to give Shinsuke the big swing, but Nakamura wasn't having that. And the finish came where Seth did like this new move. I don't know how to describe it to you. He did like a reverse kick, I guess is the best way to describe it. If you don't have plans of watching FastLane, change your plans and just watch this match. Also watch the main event because it was fantastic. And also watch Drew McIntyre against Sheamus, which I will talk about in a sec. But Seth won this match against Shinsuke with, his classic finisher, the curb stomp. I'm actually surprised Cesaro didn't come out afterwards to attack Seth and pretty much set up the WrestleMania match. I don't really want to talk about the Intercontinental Championship match because I'm confused by that match too. Like, it was such a screwy finish. And I feel like the WWE did that on purpose to extend the feud to WrestleMania. But if that's the case, why'd you do a match between Apollo Crews and Big E at FastLane in the first place? I don't get it. You could have, like, maybe Riddle against Mustafa Ali should have been on the main card. And then you could have kept Big E and Apollo off. Just saying. Drew McIntyre against Sheamus. It was a no-holds-barred match. And oh my God. These two absolutely tore it up. Now, leading into WrestleMania and FastLane, I was saying that Bobby Lashley, should face AJ Styles for the WWE title. Then you have Drew McIntyre against Sheamus in a steel cage match at WrestleMania. And then Seth Rollins, against Cesaro at WrestleMania. And I'm trying to think, what other matches had I suggested? I think those were the only matches that I'm like, yes, these matches should happen. Obviously, Sheamus against Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match at WrestleMania is not happening. We are getting Bobby Lashley against Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. And which means Bobby Lashley against AJ Styles for the WWE title is not happening. Instead, we're doing AJ Styles and Omos going for the Raw Tag Team titles against the New Day at WrestleMania. Where the fuck that match came from, I don't know. But anyway, Drew and Sheamus absolutely beat the living hell out of each other. If you don't have plans to go back and watch FastLane, change your plans. Watch these three matches. Sheamus against Drew. Shinsuke Nakamura against Seth Rollins. And Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan. Those three matches were the best matches of the card. And of those three, as I just said, Shinsuke against Seth was my favorite match. But that's mostly because I'm a huge Seth Rollins fan. And again, I didn't love the main event as much as other fans and media members because the whole storyline is just confusing to me. So, because of that, I'm going to say the main event was meh. So, I'm just going to move on to the main event. Let me just say this though. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre beat the living crap out of each other. Like at one point, Sheamus threw Drew McIntyre, I think it was Drew McIntyre who threw Sheamus into the Thunderdome LED boards where the fans are. I've actually done that a couple times. I'm only going to do it one more time, and I'm going to do it for SmackDown, because Monday Night Raw, that show is just too long. 3 hours? No. But I'm not going to do the Thunderdome for this coming Friday. I'm going to do it for next Friday. Because I feel like the 2-week mark is the perfect time to be part of the Thunderdome, because that's when Seth Rollins and Cesaro, I feel like that's when that match is going to become official. I hope Bayley gets a match at WrestleMania. Because she's great as a heel right now. How does she not have a WrestleMania match? How? Bayley needs to have a WrestleMania match. Vince McMahon, if you somehow, someway watch this video, please give Bayley a WrestleMania match. Don't just put her in the silly battle royal at the beginning of the show. No. Give Bayley a proper short feud that leads to a WrestleMania match. Do it. Put Bayley in a WrestleMania match. It needs to happen. I will be so mad if Bayley is not in a WrestleMania match. Okay. So, main event. Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns for the Universal title with Edge as special guest enforcer. So this match was like a half an hour. It was fantastic. But again, the whole storyline is just confusing to me. Like, Edge chose Roman Reigns. So I'm thinking, okay, we're getting Edge against Roman Reigns, spear against spear, WrestleMania. Great. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Bryan enters and he's like, this might be my last WrestleMania ever, which I don't think his contract is expiring or anything, so maybe he's pondering retirement or something, I don't know. But anyway, he comes in, he challenges Roman Reigns for the Universal title, but Jey Uso, who's gone completely crazy in the mind, says, no, in order to get to Roman Reigns, you have to get through me. I know, that was a horrible Jey Uso impression. Don't judge me. Anyway, so there was, I think Daniel Bryan hit like 3 yes locks on Roman Reigns, and on the third one, you could see Reigns tap out just ever so slightly, like this. But Edge didn't care. Who at this point, Edge was pretty much, at that point in the match, Edge was serving as the referee. Because earlier, Daniel tries to hit the running knee on Roman, but Reigns gets out of the way, and Bryan hits the referee, and the referee, vanishes into a black hole or something. Yeah. And then a bunch of shenanigans, like Jey Uso comes out, there's a sequence with a steel chair, and eventually Roman Reigns, gingerly kind of lays on Daniel Bryan. Replacement referee comes out. Roman Reigns is still your Universal Champion. So, overall, I'm going to give FastLane a B-. There were some good matches on the card. There were some okay matches, I didn't like the Alexa Bliss Fiend Randy Orton segment match, whatever you want to call it. That whole thing has just been going on way too long for my liking. Yeah, I would have preferred Randy Orton to be in a different type of WrestleMania feud. Like a proper feud, because I don't consider this Fiend storyline a proper feud. So yeah, that's why. So that's my review of FastLane. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked what you saw in this video, punch that like button like a UFC fighter and give that subscribe button a big punch to the face. I'm Unger to the Max, and I am signing off. A salute to you. See you next time on another episode of Talking UFC and Wrestling.